privilege to be in your midst to speak about the psychology of aging in general. This is the given topic. After coming here, people have told me I can talk about gender, I can talk about men and how they support working women, I can talk about parenting. So the vote is yours. You have to tell me what I should talk about. Maybe we can put it all together, mix it up and give an ad-hoc speech. Probably what I would speak about is, since it's International Women's Day, we'll talk about the aging in chronological order, and then how a parent can influence it, then how to combine it with cultural learning, all put together with this holistic learning. To start with, life begins with a single cell, even inside the uterus, a human uterus. But if we go back and look at science or even religion, in religion they say the first to be created was Adam, and then was created Eve. How many of you believe it true? Or how many of you think it is false? Alright. In science, it's exactly the opposite. The woman came first, the female gender was evolved first, and then evolved the male gender. You can ask me, you can challenge me, since all of us are scientists here, you can tell me, Shalini, show me evidence. Okay, let me show you evidence. Even today, all single cellular organisms, all coelacanths, even up to class Insecta, or even up to class Arthropoda, most animals are only female. There is no male among these animals. Most algae, most fungi, most bacteria, most viruses, all are female. There are no males. So life started only in the female form. The female is the original and the male is a derivative, an afterthought. But maybe is better equipped, is a higher evolved female. We'll talk about it in a bit. So why did the male evolve at all? Why was the need to create a man, or to evolve a man, or a male in specific? We're not really talking about the human male, we'll just talk about the male gender. Why was the male gender created in the first place? Can somebody give me an answer? All scientists here. Sorry? Alright, to cut matter short, to save time, let me just tell you the answer. But if somebody knows the answer, I am so happy to interact with you on that. Originally, as we told, the bacteria, the fungi, all the single cellular or all the self-reproducing animals or plants were female, but they were all very susceptible to being killed by other animals, like probably viruses. One single strand of virus can kill one entire petri dish or one entire colony of bacteria, because viruses can break through the genetic code of the bacteria. Even today, more than anything else, we are afraid of viral illnesses, because we cannot even create a vaccine for a viral illness. By the time we create a vaccine, the virus would have mutated. So we are always afraid of viruses. Although we are great human beings, we can fly to Mars, we can create another civilization, but we are worried not about dinosaurs, not about tigers or lions. We are afraid of viruses. And viruses are so special because they can break our genetic material. So to create fresh new genetic material, to make every single person different from the others, so that one genetic code, even if it's broken, can protect others, because everyone has got a unique specific genetic code. We need another counterpart. We need two parts of the lottery. It's a raffle, it's rotating all the time, it keeps changing all the time. Suddenly they come together, they create one life form. This life form is unique, not replicated anywhere else. Again it goes on, it's a haploid cell, it keeps going on like that. So to create genetic variation, we needed the man, but it was equal. Why did the man or the male start thinking that it is better, more entitled or superior or culturally more privileged? How did this come about? Again, if you go back into history, we will find that in the beginning, it was all equal. Like one bacteria talking to another. Suppose I am the male bacteria and the lady there in the pink cell is a female bacteria. I'll probably tell her, pink bacteria, let me give you all the genes. You hold the genes, you reproduce, be nice to me. I will take care of you. See, I am the newly developed male protocol. I will take care of you. The female would probably, since she is female and she is smart, she'll tell me, why you? Why not somebody else? If I am going to bear your genes, are you so great? What is so special about your genes, man? I'll find somebody else. And I have to tell her, no, see, I am the best possible person here. Look at my wings, look at my tusk, look at my wings or whatever. Whatever the male has special, it is different from the female. If you look closely at nature, in all the animals that you know, in all the plants that you know, the male of the species is more beautiful than the female of the species. The peacock is more beautiful than the peahen. The lion is more endowed than the female. The reindeer, the male has a horn, the female does not have a horn. Even the firefly, only the male has a fire, the female does not have a fire. Why is that the male has all these extra appendages? It goes on to explain the same thing. The man has to advertise and show to the female, I am the most dominant, I am the best endowed, so please choose me. Seriously. This is not my original finding, this is actually Charles Darwin's original finding, directly downloaded from his book, The Descent of Man and Selection in Relationship to Sex. This book was written in 1871. We all know about Origin of Species, written in 1850s, but none of us or most of us are not even aware of Descent of Man and Selection in Relationship to Sex, because as the director was telling, there is a very big political agenda behind it. We'll talk about it soon. So the female of the species chooses the male of the species by checking which one is the best endowed. Right down to the human female. Even Sita chose Rama based on this fitness criteria only. She saw Rama the previous day, Annalum Nokinal, Avalum Nokinal, but next day she said, anyway break the bow. She didn't say, oh, you are the God incarnate. Yesterday I saw you, I fell for you. So today you don't have to break the bone. She didn't say. She said, whoever you are, even if you are God, please break the bone and show to me that you are a fit male. So when the woman chose men based on their fitness to survive, whatever the criteria for survival at that given point is, then obviously the second generation of children born are fit because the woman has already checked for fitness. But somewhere along the line we lost this survival of the fitness criteria, we lost this Swayamvara culture, and the women started accepting grooms based on the parents' choice. It was an 8-year-old daughter. Previously in India, if the father did not get the girl married by 8 years, he is supposed to be the worst possible, vilest, filthiest man on earth. And he had great punishments. One of the vilest punishment was he is supposed to drink his daughter's menstrual blood. It was a punishment prescribed by religion. So all men were afraid of this particular punishment, and they decided, if I am a fit father, I must get my daughter married by 8 years. That's why we find Bharatiya's wife is only 7 years old. 7 years today we will say, what is this? A girl cannot get married. But 100 years ago, by 7 years, if she is not married, the father will be sleepless. So that is the time that girls got married very early. They wouldn't have developed a brain of their own. 8 years, she is still a child. So whoever the parents choose, the girl would probably have married. If the girl is married without using her brain, without having her choice, any kind of sexual selection, then obviously the children born are not going to be fit. How do we prove it? How do we know this is the truth? Because for more than 1,000 years, India has been a slave nation. They have been colonized by the Turks, by the Mughals, by the British, by the Portuguese, by the French, by the English. Anybody, Tom, Dick, Harry, we become colonized by them. Why were we not smart enough to colonize somebody else? Or was there a time when we colonized somebody else? Yes, there was a time. Prior to that, during the Sangam era, those times, we were colonizing other people. At that time, our women were choosing men very specifically based on certain inclusion criteria. When we lost it, then we lost the ability to breed fitter children. This apart, again we go back into how children develop, since actually our topic is aging. So when the child is thus formed in the uterus, every single human male that we see now in this place was originally created as a female. Can you believe that? No. Yes. How do we prove that? What is the proof to say that each one of you here was originally created as a female? Any idea? Girls, all the boys here still have nipples. Men are not going to give milk. Very rarely men develop some milk. Very rarely men develop breast cancer too. But most commonly men do not produce any milk. Then why did nature create them with pre-existent nipples? Because originally they were created as